Welcome everybody to another episode of Community Voices. Hope everybody's doing well, feeling great. Um, First off, happy Black History Month to all my people. You know, all the history, everything that we're doing, the Black history that we make daily, and then we continue to just acknowledge, continue to grow forward, and continue to keep those things at the forefront so that we can lead the charge and do it in our own way and how we show up every day. Speaking of Black history, this man here, champion, somebody who, like I think when you do things like that he's done, when your high school, your college, your town, your city, wherever you come from, they consider you a legend. They consider you, somebody who made it out and like went and did the ultimate top, the things they can only dream of doing on a Madden career mode. This man went out there and did it. Man, fresh off Super Bowl champion, fresh off the Super Bowl in general. Rashid Shaheed, welcome to Community Voices, man. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you had time. I'm glad we were able to make this work. I remember,
Yep.
my talent team was talking to me about just like some names we had, and I was like, oh, like, I want to talk to him, but he really like there for real. Let's,
Yeah. No, we
let,
found
let,
the time. It's perfect. Yes, indeed.
yeah. So it all worked out, man. I want to jump into things. I know I could easily start off with like, how was the Super Bowl? But I actually want to kind of put a different spin on it because I really care about these interviews too much to make it like, the same thing that you would get from like 10 other people. And I say
Yep.
that to say, I think what was interesting to me was the way that you ended up on this team. I don't think your whole career has been a very untraditional path, which I think is a testament to your success because sometimes you have to take the road less traveled, whether you want to or not. But I think you were traded from the New Orleans Saints to the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints were 1-8 at the time. The Seahawks were 6-2, promising team. I think there was a couple of teams around that time that had that kind of record.
Yep.
Um, and that's a big change. That's a big change to go through. I think a lot of people were talking about how the Saints record was rough, but like that their record wasn't a reflection of your performance either. You were still performing. You were still like showing up and doing your thing every time on the field, which I think was what gave you so much value too as well.
Mm.
I wanted to know, in that moment, what did it do to your perspective for the rest of the season? That's a
Yeah.
big change. One, you're going to a team that is at a higher caliber, higher record, higher chances to really like 1-8. It's really you're fighting for like a wild card. You're fighting for like the bottom seed. This
Yep.
Seahawks team was fighting for like the top seed when you came there.
Right.
How did you have to shift your mentality and your perspective, not just as a player, but like as a team you're going into, so that you
Hmm.
could really come in and like do things that you did this year? How did you have to change that
Yeah.
perspective?
I feel like for the biggest thing for me was just controlling what I can control. I couldn't really control, what had happened. Obviously, going to different teams. I knew it was going to be a lot. It's kind of like going to a new school. You're trying to get used to new faces and new coaches, and everything is just different. Everything is has changed, but it's still the same game though. Once you strap on those pads and put the helmet on, despite the colors that you're wearing or whoever you're in front of, it's the same game that you've been playing since you were 5 years old. So that was the biggest thing for me, just staying locked in on that, not letting all the outside noise and all the moving and traveling, be too much. Just continue to play ball, stick to that, and be able to contribute as much as I can in the amount of time that I had in Seattle.
I love it. And would you say that's like that perspective, right? I think that speaks one to just like your professionalism and also just like how dedicated you are to the craft and just in general, like no matter where you're at, you adjust and you perform. Like that is the
Yep.
main lock in. But I remember earlier I kind of spoke to like your path, right? Like how it's not the ordinary path. It's like your path reminds me of like I don't ESPN don't do it as much when they used to do 30 for 30s. Like your
Hmm.
path reminds me of like a phenomenal 30 for 30, like down the
Yeah.
road, like you know what I mean? But I started to say too, like, is that the same kind of mindset that you've been having kind of like all your career? Like, like all that time that the way you came into the league and
Yeah.
like fighting for that spot and fighting with the team to help them get better and move
Mhm.
where you can. Is that always the perspective that you just had like overall that develop over time just through different like circumstances and situations?
Yeah, it definitely developed over time through different circumstances. I feel like my career, whether it's high school or college or in the league, has been very battle tested, and everything that has led up to this point has allowed me to kind of just develop in the way that I have, not only as a player but as a person, and just being able to, have all those experiences and just let it, come out and not let it, let the hard times, be too much or let it weigh too down on me. Um, yeah, just to continue to be present in all those situations, whether it's good or bad. With this game, it's a lot of ups and downs. Not a lot of things are going to go your way. Injuries. Maybe you're not playing as much as you thought, especially in college and high school. All those things are big factors in this game. But yeah, just staying grounded, man. Staying around people um, who love me and I know that are going to help me succeed in this life. And yeah, no, just staying around those type of people and just being remaining myself through the journey.
I love that because it seems like, even with the question that we just talked about, like it seems like you really have one, you have a lot of faith in yourself. You have a lot of faith in not just yourself, but like wherever you're going to be, like greatness is going to come. It can come in many forms. There's going to be ups and downs, but like greatness is going to come. So like you have a lot of faith in that also within yourself and your abilities and just like, being so aware of your surroundings and how to grow and how things are going to work in your favor. I think a lot of what you've been talking about, like it just makes sense. Like it just makes sense for you to like perform. It makes
Right.
sense for you to be great. It makes sense for you to be in the position that you're in. I think the one thing that I think that comes to mind when you speak about those things is like there's a level of greatness to what you do and what you've been doing, and like it's coming to light now. And it's harder to see that greatness when you're on a 1A team. It's hard to see that greatness when like you're quote unquote undrafted. Like, but like people who know see it. People who are out there. People who are in the locker room. People who are your fans. Family, they see it. And I
Hmm.
think even now, like, this year when I think one of the biggest moments. I mean, the biggest moment is the Super Bowl. But I remember
Yes.
everybody wanted to talk to you when they were watching that 49ers game and like your performance then, the blowout play, like, and that was, I think, that also was like one of the first time where people saw you on like such a high, getting ready to go to the biggest platform in the league,
Yep.
and you were like, this was nothing new to you, but
Hmm.
like this was something that you've been doing, but it was new to everybody else, and people got to see that and see you perform, and now your name is known not just from that play, but now it's like a Super Bowl champ. I say
Right.
all those things to say, you know, I said I see greatness in you, but what do you describe greatness as, for yourself? And I say that especially because, it's Black History Month and we always highlight,
Yep.
like the historical leaders and things like that. But I think there is a level of month to month, day to day, hour to hour Black
Yeah.
greatness that we should hold ourselves to, however we show up in whatever field we're in. So I would just love to know, what is that for you? How do you kind of hold yourself to that caliber?
Yeah. Just holding myself to a standard that I know that it's going to take to succeed, day in and day out, waking up and just knowing that I need to conquer today. Today is all I got. So I need to lock in and focus on what I need to do, to better myself. I feel like that's kind of the epitome of greatness is just doing what you love and putting everything that you can into it, whether it's in your heart, your mind, just doing it, going for it. With football, it's a lot of time you got to put in and a lot of work you got to put in. So, just understanding that all the work that is going to pay off, and all the work is necessary, to be great. Greatness doesn't happen overnight; happens throughout a period of time, and just understanding that, and you know, always asking questions. I feel like, as a football player, it's important to ask other guys, how they, kind of navigate through their careers, how they played for such a long time, how they handle this situation, that situation. Just to better yourself, it's always good, have those conversations with other people because, knowledge is power. And with this sport, knowledge is everything, and as well as life, and Black History Month. I feel like I take a lot of pride in the skin that I'm in, and I love being able to, represent my people, in the way that I can. And yeah, so I would say just staying locked in on what I got to do each and every day, and do what you love and put it all into it.
I love that. And,
Yeah,
even when you were in what you were speaking to, I think there's that piece of like, part of being great is like also having that wisdom, like not knowing that like you don't know, or not being too ahead of yourself to think that like some of some of the ways that I'm gonna get to the top or get to like the best version of me is going to
mhm.
be through some wisdom that like I'm gonna have to experience through life, some like conversations, some questions that I don't have to get from other people, and then practice that and implement it in my own way. I love that you kind
Yeah,
of spoke to that because I think sometimes we see greatness in a way that is almost, they can put us in like a selfish spot, like very
yeah,
very competitive, very like I don't need. I got this, you know what I mean? But then
Yes.
there
Yep.
is a lot of the things that are around you, which I think a lot of self-awareness that like helps you become the best version of yourself, where greatness is the byproduct and not just like a goal that you hit and trying to chase going on forward. I say
Yep.
that to say, and I don't know if you've had this yet, because it probably still feels new every single day you wake up. Have you been able to really like sit in and understand and really like reflect on yourself in the moment that was the Super Bowl and like finally hitting that goal? Because I'm very curious on like what are some of the things that like if you had to sit down or if you had the moment to sit down and
Hmm.
reflect and be like, man, like I really did it, and like really reflect on who you became before the game, during the
Right.
game, after the game, and like
Yep.
now, like have you had a chance to reflect on that? Like what has been like your biggest takeaway to like how you've grown as a person through that experience?
Yeah. No, I've absolutely had a chance to reflect, and it all just happened so fast throughout the week, and then the game, and then the parade. It all just like one big collective celebration, especially after winning. And I finally got a chance to kind of just sit down, in some silence, and just be like, dang, all this is really happening. This is really my life. You know what I mean? And everything that I've worked for is happened. But at the same time, football is so crazy because you're always looking for like the next thing. And I'm already looking forward to what I can do next year. So it's hard to just kind of sit and just be like, okay, that just happened. But my brain is still like, okay, what can I do? Like football season is I got to start getting ready again. You know what I mean? And just so I could have this feeling again. So football is crazy, man. Just to be able to have those highs and still want more in such a quick amount of time and such a quick change. Um, yeah, so that's kind of my takeaway from it, man. I've had a chance to sit down, but at the same time, I'm still like, what can I do next year to
Yeah.
get this feeling again?
Still like yeah, it's almost like you have to control the amount of like how much you're locked in because like yo, I want to be
Right.
present, but like
Yes.
off season's coming and then the season starts again and we gotta do it all over. I'm gonna actually tap
Right.
into that. I'm gonna tap into that before we end our conversation, but I do
Yep.
want to reverse a little bit to Super Bowl because again, it's such a rare chance. It's such a rare moment. Like we don't even live in an era in football anymore where like you consecutively see the same team. Like you like dynasties are hard to come by. Like
Yep.
that level of consistency to make sure a team stays together through all the various factors is such like it's such a competitive league today. Like it's
Yep.
always been competitive, but it's like definitely competitive now, especially with the new generation, like like newer people coming in. Some of these like legends that we've seen that constantly go there like exiting. Um, but the Super Bowl is something that we only watch on TV every year. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think I would love to just kind of know, like, at what point, if there even was a point, because sometimes you could be so locked in, even like seeing all the zeros in the clock and the confetti don't necessarily register until you're like at the podium. Like,
Hmm.
what at what moment did you know, like we're really about to do it? And
Yep.
how if you can kind of take yourself back, what were the emotions and feelings like? What were the waves of emotions that you were feeling from like the clock ending or the clock about to end
Hmm.
to hosting that trophy and everybody just being there celebrating?
Yeah, I feel like the celebration kind of started with about 3 minutes left in the game. I remember we got like a late turnover.
Hmm.
Chenna Nwosu scored pick six. That's kind of when we were like, dang, like this is happening, and they don't have a chance to come back after that. That kind of just deflated the whole team. And we were on the sideline, just like, man, like this is everything that we've been talking about since I've gotten here, is finally here. It's kind of funny. Cooper Cup, he was like completely emotionless on the sideline. And I was like, Cooper, like, why are you not smiling? He's like, he was like, a clock has hit zero, man. I've been a part of a lot of football games,
Mm,
and I got to see triple zeros. I'm like, I understand, man, but they're not
drama.
coming back. Dog, game is over. Like jump. He's just on the bench, just like this, just completely locked in still. I'm like, man, okay, this is really happening. But yeah, man, the moment I will never forget. I felt like it kind of all settled in once I saw my family on the
Mm.
field, and I got a chance to hug them and just kind of grab some confetti and throw it in the air. I saw the trophy, and I was like, man, this is like Madden. Like this is what you grew up watching on Madden after winning the Super Bowl, and I'm really here. I'm on the stage. And it was just a moment I'll never forget. All those moments before the game, after the game, it's just unbelievable. Everything.
I want to ask an additional question, right? Because like
Yep.
me and my friends were hosting like a Super Bowl watch party, and I was rooting for y'all. I was rooting for Seahawks real bad. Um, and like it was so interesting to watch the game because like it was one of them weird, like field goals did lead a lot of the game, but there was a lot of progression. But it was it was
Yeah.
an interesting game. And like to the casual NFL fan, they may have had view on it, but for me, I'm like. I'm loving this. I'm seeing like the most field
Yeah.
goals I've ever seen. I'm seeing the progression to even get into that range. I'm seeing like I'm seeing the defense go like the defense had the sliders up. Like he couldn't get
Yeah.
anything off. Like
At all.
crazy. Even like that like intercept the pick six.
Hmm.
Like no, like that's not an easy thing to do at this level. But like
No.
the team was elite.
Hmm.
What when the game is going like that, and
Yeah.
like what does that feel like? 'Cause I know it has to. I can't imagine what the feeling is like doing what y'all need to do.
Hmm.
Like not quite getting like not always getting across the goal line, but putting numbers on the board, but then seeing like the defensive team come on and like obliterate.
Yeah.
How does it feel to operate as a team, kind of watch the team function like that? Because I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
casual fans are like, it's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be throwing.
Right.
It's like it's not like that every time because like
Hmm.
these teams are good on defense. Like there's no
Right.
way it's gonna have a shootout and have like the
Yeah.
best defense in the league. So what was that like?
I've never been around a team that had so much faith and confidence in the man next to him. So
Mm,
every single game, every single snap, man, we believe that we're the best team and nobody can mess with us.
mm,
Offense, defense, and special teams. Like we go throughout the week, like super locked in on that, knowing that nobody can mess with us, seeing the defense prepare each and every week. Um, we had no doubt in our mind that we were going to go out there and play our best game of football, whether if it was going to take all 4 quarters, because we knew obviously big game. The
yeah,
team is going to give everything that they have. This is the biggest game of our lives, so it wasn't going to be easy. But the amount of confidence that we move around with and that we practice with, and that we just have faith in the guy next to us. We know that we're going to come out, victorious, whatever fashion it is. And I feel like our season kind of is a testament to that.
okay.
How we got to where we ended up, obviously champions, but the route was not easy. And yeah, we made it happen, and it's all based off belief in each other.
I love that too because you would think too. To your point, and we're about to talk about the foundation. I'm getting locked in on everything, but
Yep.
I love that you even like kind of broke that down because you would think that with so many high caliber players, like you would think that a lot of players could focus on their own story. Like I'm thinking about your story being traded. I'm thinking about Cooper Cup, like that trade from where he was to the Seahawks. I'm thinking about Sam Darnold, like
Yeah.
that trade too. Like there's so many stories within this team that could have been. And granted, some of that personal story probably drives that energy, but there's so many like selfish stories where people could be like, like I gotta prove this, like I gotta go crazy, I gotta go all, I gotta. But it was like no, like yes, that will be some of the fuel, but like you said, like I believe in the person next to me, I believe in the person next to me. Like we're going every snap, we're moving as a team, even if we're not on the field. And like I
Yep.
think that mentality like allows y'all to like dominate like that. So I
Yeah.
love that you kind of wrote that down. I was when you were telling me, I was like, man, that's so. Because in my head, I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait for these comeback stories. I can't wait for them to
Yeah.
like, But then it's not always like that. So I love that you were able to speak to that.
Yep.
I want to also, this is a community voice, so we'll also be giving back. I could go into all these game questions all day, but we'll be giving back to actually your foundation, the Shaheed Family Foundation will be organization will be donating 5K, to continue community give back, to continue the community efforts.
Thank you.
I would love to just kind of slow down a little bit here and kind of understand too. You're a champion on the field, but you're also champion for your community and your community work that you do off the
Yep.
field as well. So what kind of led to you starting that foundation? And can you kind of speak to like the mission and how it kind of really helps you have that even greater purpose off the field?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the mission is to give back to the kids, man. I feel like giving back to the kids, they are the future. It's important for them to know that they are seen and that we, the people who they look up to, care just as much as they do about us, to them.
Facts.
And just getting out in the community and just being there for them, having a voice, letting them know that it's possible. You see me, I grew up, let's say I go back to an area that I grew up in. They see that I lived right here. I went to this high school, and now I'm here. And you could do the same thing. I'm no different than you. And just getting out in the community, letting the kids know that, give back, is super important for all of us to do that. And yeah, the mission is the kids, and to give back to them and let them know that anything that they want in this life is possible.
I love that because it is like you said, it's a big thing. I think people sometimes see that as like a small, like, oh, they're just like, doing like, they're just showing up and leaving. But it's like, no, like that, those moments. Because I think too, I'm from a small town back in Texas. It's like a really small town. And like I
Hmm.
think sometimes, depending on whether it's a small town or just like a neighborhood, like even if it's a neighborhood thing,
Hmm.
it does mean something when you see people who maybe once are always in that neighborhood, but like they come back and you see them in the physical and like interact with them, engage with them, and like the moment that it is, because those
Hmm.
things that you hold on to. Like there's always you always meet people who have stories where they're like, oh, I remember when I was 6 and like I ran across Spike Lee and he dubbed me, and it's like Spike Lee
Yeah,
did
you'll
you
never
first.
forget it.
But you'll
Yeah,
never forget it. Like now
never.
he's 36 and he ain't watched a Spike Lee movie because of that one instant. Like it can
Right,
always have an impact and it sticks with you. So I love that. Like you know, you're very intentional about those moments and how you show up because you know what may seem small in the moment can stick with that person for life. And because you got to show people, like, yeah, I know I just did all this, but I'm
right.
here. I'm real.
Yeah,
Like, you see me. You can't, like, I'm not behind the fence where you can't touch me.
right.
We get that pans, you can see me. So I
Exactly.
love that. I love that the foundation kind of carries that on too. I want to
Yeah.
ask. I can't move past the foundation piece yet without asking: has there been any particular moment or interaction that you've had with the foundation that kind of sticks with you, or kind of holds like a special place in your heart?
Man, every interaction, honestly, but one that kind of stands out. The Boys and Girls Club in New Orleans.
Mm,
Boys and Girls Club in New Orleans. Those kids are very, very special. I had a chance to work with them, be around them, allowed them to ask me questions. I was able to, give them things, give them insight, and they were so just everything that I said. You could tell that they were taking it in,
yeah,
and they were just super grateful that I was there. And yeah, no, the kids in New Orleans, man, they're special, so special. Just being around them, seeing them smile, have fun, no matter what the circumstances may be outside of this building, they're here, they're present, and the interactions that I had out there in New Orleans, especially at the Boys and Girls Club, were memories I'll never forget. And being able to have an impact and being able to give back to them, it means the world.
I love that. I love that, man. I could do this all day because I'm so energized by this conversation and like I really want to know a lot, but I gotta respect your time. You know what I mean? I know you're a champion. You need your rest as well. If you're getting any rest at this time. But
Yeah.
I want to ask this last question, and I want to be very intentional with this. 'Cause I think somebody like you who is very self aware. Um, I don't like the term, but I think it's perfect here. Like really good head on your shoulders in the sense of like the wisdom, the experience, the openness to learning, the openness to just, you know, how to better yourself, having faith, and being very positive and progressive, and just
Yeah.
embracing life and its ups and downs. I think a lot of that in your personality and character reflect in your play and reflect this in interaction, even if it is virtual. I can understand that, and see that, and feel that. So I say all those things to say, if you could take a moment, right, to think about who you were and where you were, where your headspace was,
Hmm.
right before, like maybe after watching the draft, right before you signed the undrafted player contract and begin that moment when there was that moment of recovery, or moment of like limbo, moment of like I don't know what it was for you because it could be so many things for different people, but it was a
Yeah.
very pivotal moment. If you had to, you know, give him advice, what would you give him? And then in return, what would you thank him for today?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say I'll start with what I would thank myself for. Um, Keeping the belief and staying true to yourself, not changing. Um, you know, I would say those are the biggest things. Yeah, just keeping a smile on my face no matter what. Being present, being there for others, no matter how busy you are, or you know, um, yeah, I would say that that's the. Sorry, what was the other part?
Again,
First part.
what advice would you give him, and then what would you thank
Hmm.
him for? So I think you answered the thank him for part, but what
Yeah,
advice would you give him?
the advice that I would give myself would be not to let outside noise or things that you can't control, whatever you can control
Mm,
at all times. And in this game, especially in NFL, there are so many things going on outside of you that you can't really control. So if you just focus on yourself, I know that it's a team thing, of course, but with the league, you kind of got to focus on what you got to do at times because it's a business, you know what I mean? And every single day is kind of a test. You know, coaches are looking and, you know, scouts are keeping an eye on you. And it's always eyes on you. So
Yeah.
continue to push. Don't look left or right, continue to look forward. And just continue to be yourself and stay locked in on what you have to stay locked in on, and everything will be all right.
Man, that's solid, man. That's a perfect way to wrap this up too, man. I always say that too. I always, always remind myself, control the controllables at the
Yes.
end of the day. So I love that you
Hmm.
spoke to that, man.
Appreciate
Man,
you.
Super Bowl champ, history, damn near city legend now, man. Like it's and it's early. It's only the beginning. I'm so thankful and grateful for your time to even have this conversation. And please believe we will be watching next season. We're watching for you just to see, the thing about being great is having to do it again. But with the mindset that you're
Yes.
in, anything can happen. So I can definitely see it happen, man. So we'll be definitely
Yes,
keeping
indeed.
locked in. And I appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Community Voices. Until next time, take care.
My guy.